Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.
All right. Let's open up the doors and welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. And today is Pharmacist Fridays with the one and only great pharmacist, Ben Fuchs. And just before we get going, folks, I want to let you all know that this program is for educational purposes only, and the content is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA, and the testimonials that are shared are the experiences of the individual. Results may vary and may not be typical. We do not make claims regarding health or income, and as an empowered individual, you need to know that you have options available. And now that we got rid of the housekeeping, I want to bring to the screen our good friend, Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, who is a nutritional pharmacist who has been working in skincare for many, many years. And more importantly, preaching the good word about how nutrition can help us in our lives and improve our lives. And he's the man. And Pharmacist Ben, how are you?
Well, good to see you, AJ. Thank you. You're where's Rebecca today?
Rebecca's at a conference.
Oh, okay.
She's learning all new skills to apply to make the show even better.
That's awesome. Well, she's in. Rebecca is in good hands. You guys are Daily Doc is in good hands with you hosting, I'm sure. And thank you so much for doing it, and thank you for everybody for being on. And by the way, it's all on me that we're late. I don't want anybody to think it's anybody else but me. Moi. I take responsibility. So thanks for hanging in there, everybody, and let's get the show on the road.
Okay. Well, interestingly, yesterday we had a great conversation that we want to continue at some other time.
Yeah, you like that conversation?
Oh man, it's fantastic.
We got into PChem. The hardest thing in pharmacy school and in chemistry is called PChem, which is the blend of physics and chemistry. But chemistry is really about physics. And if you don't understand physics hardcore, you can't really understand chemistry. And this is one of the reasons why we misunderstand nutrition from a clinical standpoint, is because we're trying to deal with nutrition in a meme basis by what's popular, by what we read on the internet, or what everybody thinks, what the common conventional wisdom is. But if you go deeper underneath chemistry and get into physics, you can really start to play with things. And that's why, and unfortunately, physics has this intimidating kind of connotation. There's this aura of intimidation around physics. So what I like to do is I like to help people understand in a very easy way. And that's what we did yesterday. We really talked about we got into some hardcore physical chemistry. But if you really understand it, then you can be a real nutritionist, not just a clinician. One of the problems we have with our healthcare system is we operate clinically, not scientifically in terms of physics and chemistry. And it comes as a surprise to a lot of folks, but medicine is not really scientific. Medicine, the clinical aspect of medicine, just plays on what conventional wisdom is or what people are taught in medical school, and we repeat things. What's the definition of insanity, of course? To repeat the same thing over and over again and expect different results. Our way of approaching health is literally insane. I'm not talking about the individual, about regular folks. I'm talking about medicine itself. It's literally insane. That's why every 10 or 15 years they say, oops, sorry, we were wrong. It's really, this drug really is toxic. We got to take it off of the market, or we really shouldn't be taking this organ out when you have this healthcare problem. And every 5 or 10 years or 15 years, you hear this. It's because we're operating by memes and conventional wisdom and what everybody thinks. We're not operating scientifically. When we talk about clinical medicine, we should be operating chemically and even at the quantum level. So hats off to you, AJ, for appreciating it, because that's some hardcore stuff, and that's really where we're healing, where we have to be if we're going to leverage the healing process.
Well, everyone sent comments that they really appreciated what was going on. But today we want to the topic is Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, fuel your flush, why nutrient-rich detox support is essential. In relation to, we had some folks talk about their children having poisons like Agent Orange and different poisons that you may inject to your body, which will remain nameless. And we're talking about how to purify the body or detox the body. What are some strategies?
Well, a couple things. First of all, the question that I got, or that Rebecca wanted to talk about, involved Agent Orange and some health challenges that a child of a father who was subject to Agent Orange in Vietnam was dealing with. So just quick digression here. Agent Orange is a chemical that was used in the Vietnam War to defoliate, to get rid of foliage in the jungle so that the enemy could be seen. So they just completely killed all the foliage. They came up with the most powerful toxin they could come up with, which is technically called dioxin. You may have heard the term dioxin. This is one of the most poisonous compounds known to man. And they put it in a spray, or I don't know how they actually dispensed it, but they put it in some kind of system, and they destroyed the jungle with it. Unfortunately, what they didn't count on were the soldiers and the military folks who had to do the spraying. So they all got exposed to this horrible toxin, and you probably all heard the story. But what ended up happening in terms of the generations is the Agent Orange affected the sperm of the men. And so when a baby was conceived, when a sperm that was damaged by Agent Orange hit an egg, the babies and the children ended up with health challenges. That's not a detoxification issue. You can't detoxify from that. So when you talk about detoxification, that's a whole nother category, a whole nother aspect of health. Detoxification is very important, and we can talk about that. But to answer this question, I don't know if this person's on the call. Do you have the question in front of you, by the way?
I do. So you're talking more about DNA repair. That's kind of what you're...
Right, exactly. It's more about the DNA. So why don't you just read the question? Because I think it was a very interesting question, and and when I explain it, it'll make sense how I approach this, and not just for this person, but for everybody, because everybody's dealing with a certain amount of what this person is dealing with. Do you want to read it? Do you have it?
Let's see. It says, my son was affected by Agent Orange from his dad, who mixed and loaded it. All of his children were affected, but his was the worst, with the most of the symptoms like anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, mood swings, anger, concave chest that was fixed when he was young. Have you addressed this issue with good results, and what might help with this?
Okay, so now it's a very important question, and I can tell by the questioner that she's not really understanding how nutrition or how the body works. So let's go through this here. When somebody says that, let's just take anxiety and mental health issues. This guy had anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, mood swings, that kind of thing, anger. Let's focus on that. When somebody has these issues and then says, well, this is because Agent Orange affected the sperm, and what can I do about it? It dismisses what this patient is doing now. Is this patient nutritionally supplementing and completely off of gluten and all the lectins, and they're exercising, and they're breathing correctly, and they're perfect? They're the most incredibly healthy they're taking care of their health completely, and they still have this problem? Obviously not, because nobody does, and nobody knows how. So we blame Agent Orange for things that we can control, for symptoms that we have some control over. We're losing our power. I would treat this person exactly how I would treat anybody else, and forget about the Agent Orange. That's done. You're not going to repair the sperm that got damaged from the Agent Orange. That's over. What we got to focus on is this patient now. Forget the Agent Orange. By blaming something that happened in the past that you have no control over, you lose your power. So the reason I thought this was an important question is because it demonstrates how we voluntarily give away our power. This person and this patient, not intentionally, just giving away her power, her son's body's natural ability to heal up to something that happened in the past. So what we want to do right now with this person is we want to do the same way we do with everybody else. You're going to get sick of hearing me say this, but we want to do the complete program. Number one, what is the person eating and what is their digestion like? Because that's the first point on the triangle of disease. We want to address that. Same thing as everybody. And listen, you guys, aren't you sick of hearing this yet? I mean,
Nope.
I don't even know why you want to hear me talk. I say the same thing over again. You know, it's the same thing. There's a generic nature to breakdown. There's a generic nature to how our bodies fall apart. And while there's certainly biochemical individuality and our own personal experiences and our backgrounds, they all play a role. To start the ball rolling, we want to appreciate that we all break down the same way. Our digestion breaks down, our digestive system starts to break down. It happens in utero, in the womb, and it degrades at an accelerated pace beginning on day one for most people, because most of us don't get taught how to take care of our children's food sources. And unless the kid's breastfeeding, they're eating, we went over formula yesterday, you know, cesarean section, sugar, all the things that the kids gets exposed to, all the kinds of foods the kids get exposed to at a very young age, the damage begins to accrue. You end up with metabolic issues, with blood sugar issues. First 2 points on the triangle of disease. The kid's only 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, and he's already starting to break down. This describes most of us, if not all of us, really. Then you get into the third point of the triangle of disease, the adrenal thyroid axis. That's where this kid is. Everything he's explaining, everything he's talking about involves the 3 points in the triangle of disease. So forget Agent Orange. Get a food diary on this kid. See what his problems are. Eliminate the bad problem foods. Put him on the digestive support. Nightly Essence, Ultimate Enzymes, Ultimate Microbiome, I-26, must have I-26. These are all, everything that you described here, with the exception of the concave chest, tells me there's dysbiosis and there's SIBO and leaky gut. If there's dysbiosis and SIBO and leaky gut, and it hasn't been resolved, and parents don't know what's going on, or the kid doesn't know what's going on, 100% guarantee it's going into metabolic syndrome, and you're going to have dysglycemia and what I call the high blood sugar, low blood sugar roller coaster. So you go ketogenic. You restrict the fast burning sugars, the high glycemic index, cereals and breads and cakes and French fries and pizza and, you know, everything we love, everything kids love, everything our culture loves, everything that's promoted. You as best as you can. Now, zero tolerance is great if you can do it. It's asking a lot. It's on a spectrum. The less of the bad stuff you do, the better off you're going to be. So if the bad stuff that you put in your system is 100 and you restrict it to 90, you'll get that 10% benefits, or 10 benefits of 10. You go to 50, you'll get 50% benefits. You choose, you decide. But that aspect has to be addressed. And then immediately, just from point number one, addressing the triangle of disease at point number one, the kid's going to start to notice a difference. Once you start controlling the blood sugar, the difference is going to be even more profound and more dramatic. And then if you want to go all out, the third point on the triangle of disease, you lower the cortisol by calming the body down, and you're going to go a long way towards lowering the cortisol by addressing the first 2 points in the triangle of disease. But things like muscle relaxation and using getting on a good nutritional supplement program, getting more the Cron diet, getting as much energy from getting as much nutritional supplements or nutritional compounds with as little calories as possible. The ratio, or the comparison, if you will, between calories and nutrition has to be addressed. We get way too many calories. The biggest problem, if not, or one of the biggest problems, if not the biggest problem, is we get too much energy in the body. This is what our health challenges are really all about. We have too much energy in the body in the form of calories without the nutrients that help the body use the calories. And over the last 150 years, that problem has become dramatically, exponentially worse. And it's becoming worse almost every day because of the kind of foods we ingest. So making sure they're on a good nutritional supplement program and not getting a lot of calories relative to the nutrients, that's called the cron diet, calorie restriction, optimum nutrition, is also going to calm the body down. And then there's, of course, all the psychological strategies, relaxation strategies that you can use. We talked about them a lot: muscle relaxation, slow, deep breathing, practicing gratitude, meditation, connecting to spirituality, all of those things. And I don't want to dilute the importance of the first 2 points in the triangle of disease, but those two are all also important. So for the kid, as a protocol, number one, all the digestive support. Number two, this all presupposes the Healthy Start Pack as the core. And then number two, blood sugar control, sweeties, ultimate niacin, ultimate selenium, MSM sulfur, ultimate microbiome. The more fiber, when you're eating fiber, that tends to slow down the release of sugar. Hydrating correctly with drinking more water, diluting the blood sugar. Approaching this as you approach anybody. The generic nature of breakdown has to be addressed if we're going to take care or leverage our body's natural ability to heal. So this idea of going to this specialist and this protocol and that protocol and this formula and that formula, it doesn't allow us to take advantage of just the basic building blocks, the blocking and tackling, if you will, that the body needs to run itself. Our bodies are designed to heal. We're designed to be healthy. We have a genetic lifespan of 120. Why is it that we suffer from all of these diseases, these chronic degenerative diseases, and lions don't, and giraffes don't, and elephants don't, and animals in the wild don't? Because of domestication.
Because we eat Fruity Pebbles.
Yes, we eat Fruity Pebbles. Exactly. It's domestication. We have been domesticated. And any animal that gets domesticated, immediately their health starts to decline. Cats are on Prozac. There's cat diabetes, and there's dog diabetes, and there's cat and dog heart disease. And, our domesticated animals suffer from the same kind of problems we have because we're all domesticated. So we want to be like lions, eat as little as possible, and only eat when you're hungry and stop eating when you're not, and eat as unprocessed as possible. Get on a nutritional supplement program like the Healthy Start Pack. That's what the Healthy Start Pack does, is it restores the nutrient to calorie balance that whole foods are supposed to provide for us, and that we just can't do anymore because of how we eat and how food is processed, and even from the soils upwards. There's no way to get this ratio back. And that's why getting on the Healthy Start Pack is so important. And I don't know if Doc's on the call, but Dr. Wallach's been saying this for years. For 50, 60 years, he's been saying, we got a micronutrient deficiency problem. And what he meant is we're getting lots of calories and energy without the micronutrients. And praise God, we've got the Healthy Start Pack. And we've got all these wonderful longevity products that allow us to get that balance back. So this kid is not suffering from anything special, even though the story is, and it's a good story, it's an interesting story, it's an unfortunate story, it's a tragic story, that there's, been some sperm damage, and now you have, there's consequences to that. But there's tons he can do if he just treats himself the way we talk about here on Daily with Doc every Friday or every day, really.
Fantastic. And yes, Dr. Wallach is on. He's our pioneer. We're thankful that he is with us. There's another question kind of associated. I have a client who bought activated charcoal to detox from heavy metal poisoning. It says not to take with time-release medicines. She's taking time-release Wellbutrin.
Yes.
What would you tell her?
The logic is, I don't know what the time release is on Wellbutrin, but the logic is charcoal sucks things up. In chemistry, you say it adsorbs, A-D-S-O-R-B-S. It adsorbs poisons. Adsorption versus absorption is when stuff is stuck on the top of something. Activated charcoal has a large surface area on the top, and toxins stick to the top of it. They don't get sucked into the body of the activated charcoal. They stick to the top like a magnet. That's called adsorption. And the adsorption properties of activated charcoal are such that we call it the universal antidote in pharmacy. All pharmacies will have activated charcoal. All first aid kits and all medicine cabinets should have activated charcoal in it because it is the universal antidote. It sucks up poison. It's great for hangovers too, by the way, because it'll suck up alcohol and some of the metabolic breakdown products of alcohol. It's amazing stuff. And really, you can take activated charcoal just daily as a general detoxification support supplement. However, it will also suck up medication, it'll suck up nutrients. So you don't want to take your activated charcoal when you're taking your SUPs, your nutritional supplements, and you don't want to take your activated charcoal when you're taking your medication. So you want to have some time between dosing yourself or taking your supplements and when you have your activated charcoal. The fact that it's timed release complicates things a little bit, because if you take your activated charcoal, say 6 hours after you take your Wellbutrin, and it's time release, that Wellbutrin may still be slowly getting released into your blood, and the activated charcoal may suck up the Wellbutrin. I don't really know what the time release factor is on the Wellbutrin, if it's over 8 hours, over 6 hours, but if she can take her Wellbutrin far enough apart from when that Wellbutrin is completely secreted, or the medicine is completely secreted into her bloodstream, that would be best. Otherwise, if she wants to take the activated charcoal and the Wellbutrin, she's going to have to play around with the dose of the Wellbutrin to account for the amount of Wellbutrin that's being adsorbed into the activated charcoal.
It says Wellbutrin XL is designed to slowly release over 24 hours, and
Okay, well,
Wellbutrin SR is over a 12-hour period.
Okay, so if it's 24 hours, obviously you're going to have a problem. You can't take activated charcoal, or you can adjust the dose of the Wellbutrin to account for a lower amount of Wellbutrin that's going to be, for the amount of Wellbutrin that's going to be adsorbed onto the activated charcoal. So you have to adjust the dose. She's going to have to take more Wellbutrin, which is not a great strategy, but that's how you're going to have to do it if you're trying to do both.
Okay, but why is she taking Wellbutrin?
She's either depressed, or she's trying to quit smoking, or she may have some pain. Wellbutrin, first when it was released, was an antidepressant, a new class of antidepressants. Traditionally, antidepressant drugs have been horrible. Back in the day, the only way they could give you an antidepressant was by knocking you out. And so the old antidepressants would just knock you out. They call them tricyclics. And then they started to research, try to find newer strategies, pharmacological strategies for controlling depression without having to knock you out, and Wellbutrin was one of the first. Prozac is really, and drugs like Prozac, the serotonin reuptake inhibitors, that was the great advance. Depression is a very hard health challenge, medical challenge or medical issue to deal with pharmacologically. Because if you're depressed, how are you going to not be depressed by taking a drug? We have this idea you take a drug and all of a sudden you're happy. That's not how it works. Drugs, prescription antidepressant drugs, work by dumbing you down, so you don't feel. The newer ones, the SSRIs, was a famous book that came out called The Emperor's New Drugs that came out, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, by a physician who did research on the SSRIs, and he determined that the SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, were no better than placebo. You follow? And this is voluminous research that this guy did, Dr. Irvin Case, I think his name was, and he showed that these SSRIs just work like placebos. And so there is that element of placebo, which I always find ironic, because what is that? When you have a placebo, when you have a medication that's acting like a placebo, what is that telling you?
It's all in your mind.
It's all in your head. So what drug companies have to do is they have to filter out the placebo effect, because they don't want to mess the results. I mean, logically say, why don't we use the placebo effect instead of filtering it out? Why aren't we using the placebo effect? Because that demonstrates how powerful our minds are when it comes to not only controlling our brains in case of depression, but even controlling our physiologic symptoms. They actually have to do something called a double-blind study. Have you heard that term? Double-blind study? A double-blind study, do you know what that is?
Yeah.
You know, so that's when the administrator and the patient don't know whether they're getting the placebo or the real thing. So you say, why? Why would the administrator have to not know? Because if the administrator knows, his vibes, his energy, his aura, his metaphysics will affect the patient. So they actually have to make everybody ignorant of what's going on. They call it a double-blind study, but that demonstrates how powerful our minds are.
Another demonstration of how powerful we are.
Yes, exactly. Another demonstration of how powerful we are when it comes to our health. And that's why I love longevity so much. And I've told a story before, but it's a good story. I asked Doc one day, I said, why do you call it American Longevity, right? And he said, that was the old name of the company, it was American Longevity. And he said, well, it's my two favorite things. He said it was America and longevity, meaning America, you could do this. Anybody can do it. You're not a victim. You can pick yourself up by your bootstraps. It doesn't matter if you're black or you're white or you're a man or you're a woman or you're old or you're young or you're rich or you're poor. You can do this. What a beautiful idea. That's what America's about. And that's what, that's why he called it America. And then longevity. We can take care of our health by ourselves. We can increase our longevity by ourselves. We don't have to be medicalized. We don't have to be tricked into thinking our blood pressure is lower with a beta blocker when we can use, selenium or magnesium or EFAs to do it ourselves. We can do this ourselves. And that's the powerful message that longevity is about to me, is that we can do this ourselves. We don't have to be fraudulently healthy. We can be really healthy. We don't have to be doctored. Remember, what does doctoring mean? And this is not a knock on my friends who are medical people. Manipulated. We don't have to be fraudulently changed. We can be really healthy. And that's really what this message is about. So everybody who's listening to this who's dealing with the health challenge, no, it's in your body's nature to heal. We just got to harness that healing power, and we've got to stay away from the stuff that interferes with that, which unfortunately is most of the food and most of the beverages and most of the ideas that we're immersed in.
Okay, Pharmacist Ben, I want to tiptoe around the poison or the.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Let's tiptoe around it and give a strategy as to what someone may be able to do to help with that scenario.
Plant-derived minerals are one of the most important detoxifying substances you can ever put in your body. I want everybody to understand that because we don't talk about that enough. Plant-derived minerals are detoxifying molecules. Their detoxification powers they transcend anything else that you could use nutritionally. Plant-derived molecules, with maybe the exception of fiber or something like that, because toxins stick to fiber. But plant-derived minerals are electrically active detoxifying substances. So number one, plant-derived minerals. I love the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, but there's other, there's plant-derived minerals in the plant-derived mineral drink, and I don't remember what it's called, the plant-derived mineral drink. You have
cherry mints, plant-derived minerals.
Right, cherry mints. You can do that too, but I love the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. That is my favorite. That product, you guys, anybody doing longevity or thinking about doing longevity, there is nothing like that in the whole world of nutrition. Have you ever seen a knockoff on Beyond Tangy Tangerine? There's a reason. You can't knock it off. It's such an incredibly complex, dense nutritional formula. So well-rounded, so comprehensive. It covers so many different biochemical processes and needs in the body. Just this thing right here, which I've been doing myself since it came out 10, 15 years ago. Before that, the regular Tangy Tangerine, and now they have the Rise from Store that just came out. So plant-derived minerals are your best detox. Now, you can do the activate charcoal and zeolite, and these are all ways that you can promote detoxification. There are specific nutrients that are detoxifying that are almost like generic, because we hear them, or they are generic because we hear them all the time. Things like vitamin C is powerfully detoxifying. Selenium is very important for detoxification. Here's another important detox supplement that nobody talks about. TMR, total meal replacement. Total meal replacement is detoxifying. It supports the production of the body's most important detoxifying molecule. What is the body's most important detoxifying molecule? It's called glutathione. Have you heard of this?
Mm-hmm.
Glutathione, the TMR shake contains the building blocks for glutathione. And by the way, the new longevity is coming out with a whole bunch of new shakes. I don't know if you know this. They had the birthday cake shake, and now Michelle Wallach is formulating. She's actually become a flavor expert of sorts, and she's coming out with different flavors. There's going to be a new one. I can't tell you what that is, but there'll be a new one coming out. So these
give up the goods.
Give up the goods. TMR and whey protein in general contains the building blocks for glutathione. You throw in the ultimate selenium and the ultimate MSM. That completes the building of the glutathione molecule. That's also very important for detoxification, particularly for anti-cancer. The ultimate EFAs, as we talked about yesterday, you and I, AJ, essential fats, the omega-6 and omega-3s, alpha-linolenic acid, and linoleic acid, omega-6 and omega-3, They are the molecules of inflammation and anti-inflammation. They control the inflammatory process. And that's another really important point. These short fats, things like CMO and acetylmyrostoleate, or CMO cream, and CMO capsules, endocannabinoids. There's a substance called palmitoyl ethanolamide. There are lots of these tiny little fats are very powerfully anti-inflammatory and very important for the healing process. And if you're not processing your fats correctly, inflammatory fats can get into the bloodstream. And a lot of people are dealing with these inflammatory fats following liver problems, intestinal problems, dysbiosis, leaky gut, and most especially problems with the gallbladder. So if you have your gallbladder, keep it. If you're dealing with metabolic syndrome, address it. Metabolic syndrome is the major reason why we have liver problems. If you have dysbiosis or intestinal problems, use the digestive support, work on digestion. That's the way you detox. Another great detox strategy, drinking water. When you drink water, you flush out toxins. Another great detox strategy, fasting. When you fast, your body cleans out, your digestive system cleans out. You activate the migrating motor complex, that part of that neuromuscular complex that propels food out of your body. You activate it when you don't eat. One of the worst things we do to keep toxins in our body is we're constantly eating. Also, another cool thing, and this is in the Restore, or it's either the Rise or Restore. I think it's the Restore. Are fruits, peels from fruits, polyphenols they call them, and flavonoids. These polyphenols and flavonoids are amazingly detoxifying. So making sure that you're using your Rise and your Restore, and also Beyond Tangerine has these fruit and vegetable complexes. Okay. If you've ever seen fruit and vegetable complexes on your longevity products, what you're looking at are molecules called flavonoids and polyphenols and carotenes, and these are generally classified as adaptogens. And these adaptogenic molecules that are found in these fruit and vegetable complex are wonderfully detoxifying. And they protect the body. They don't only support elimination and detoxification at the molecular level, they also protect tissues from toxins. So they have an adaptogenic effect and a detoxifying effect. But don't sleep on those minerals, the plant-derived minerals, for detoxifying.
And we've had different doctors outside of our sphere who've mentioned things like nattokinase and the bromelain and the black pepper extract. So are you in agreement that those things should be?
Absolutely. Enzymes clean the blood. Remember how we were always talking about, all disease is cell disease, but all cell disease is preceded by dirty blood. That's everything. Right there in a nutshell. That's how we get sick. Our blood becomes dirty. Period. End of story. This is why the digestive system and the blood sugar system are so important, because they contaminate the blood. It's all about dirty blood, all of it. Every single chronic disease, every one of them, involves blood toxicity. You can't have a chronic disease without dirty blood. So anytime, and doesn't include, that's not just diseases. Long COVID, people can't recover from COVID. They have the long COVID thing, dirty blood. Chronic Lyme disease, can't recover from Lyme disease, dirty blood. Anytime your system is not recovering, whether it's a chronic disease or whether it's a long condition, like they say, focus on the blood. Bromelain and the ultimate enzymes, I've always said this, taken on an empty stomach, clean the blood. So when you take your ultimate enzymes on an empty stomach, you get blood cleaning effects. There's nattokinase in our nightly essence. In our nightly essence, nattokinase also cleans the blood. So these docs who are talking about these substances, what they're talking about is cleaning the blood.
Okay. All right. So, the phone's ringing off the hook. People calling the Daily with Doc hotline at 855-949-3377. If you have questions, we're not going to answer the phone right now, but we will get to your questions. And we have several hands that were up. I'm just going to call on Renee. Renee, if you can unmute yourself. You had your hand up first and I saw it went down. So Renee, I'm asking you to unmute yourself. If you cannot unmute, we're going to go to Deborah and we'll try and come back. Oh, there's Renee. Renee, are you with us?
Yes, I have a I have a friend that he's an alcoholic, and he wonders why when he's on the medicine or the supplements, the 90 essential, and also got him on the glucogel, but when he gets off of it, his cravings keep coming back, and so it's
I'm not quite understanding, Renee. Where's Renee? Do I see Renee? I don't see Renee here, but I'm not understanding the question. When he goes off of the supplements, his alcohol cravings come back?
yes.
Well, I have the solution. Don't go off the supplements.
Yeah, but
There could be a lot of reasons for that. What happens when you go off the supplements, you're not processing foods as the supplements help you get energy from foods. Well, that's what we said earlier, and that's a very important point. The micronutrients help you get the energy or leverage or take advantage of the energy that's in the macronutrients. So you got foods contain protein, fats, and carbohydrates, the vitamins, minerals, and aminos and fatty acids, the mighty 90 essential nutrients. Their job is to help the body utilize the energy, which is packed into the protein, fats, and carbohydrates. If he gets off the supplements, he's not going to be able to get the energy out of his foods as effectively. This is going to create a lot of problems, but one of the problems will be he won't be as energized, which means he's going to be more prone towards depression and stress and sleep issues and all the yucky stuff that happens when we're not getting enough energy into our body. And it's possible that when he's depressed from all of these things, instead of using nutrients to get energy, to get more energy in the system, he does what his path of least resistance is, which is the alcohol. I don't know that that's the case. I would have to talk to him, but just from here, just based on what you're telling me, it sounds to me like he's under energized, and that's leading to issues that cause him to want to drink. Does that make sense?
it kind of sounds like life stresses.
Yes. Yes. He's
Are,
not able to handle life stress. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The nutrients help him handle life stresses. I gave you a biochemical reason, that's the energy, but you said it more accurately probably, and that is the nutrients help you handle life stresses. And that's really important, you guys. Life is stressful. We want to be well armed to deal with life. It's like you're doing a battle. In the old days, the battles were against dragons. Today, our battles against the IRS or our dysfunctional families or, the New World Order or whatever, the government. So what nutrients do is they help our bodies deal with the natural ups and downs. Look, life is a challenge. Everything's a challenge. The idea of challenge is that you want to be equipped to deal with the challenge. Ironically, alcohol is one of the ways people deal with the challenge. It's very counterproductive because in the long run, you're not better able to deal with the challenge. That's why nutrients are so important. That's why nutrition is so important. It helps you deal with the inevitable. They're inevitable. It's called entropy. Every system breaks down, and we're going to be dealing with it. And you don't want it to be your body. I'm the guy that gets the letters. And when I see these letters, it breaks my heart. It's horrible what's happening to people in terms of their health, especially in light of the fact it's so gratuitous. It's so unnecessary. So your point is very well taken. Nutrients are your armor. The Mighty 90 Essential Nutrients, the Healthy Start Pack, that's your armor. That's your sword. That's your shield to be able to go out and do life effectively.
Okay, well, speaking of challenges, it's a challenge to get to all of the questions in the appointed amount of time that we have. So we're going to turn to our good friend, certified holistic health coach, Deborah Smith. Deborah, can you unmute you? There you go. What's your question, Deborah?
Hello, Ben.
Hi, Deborah.
Hi. So I've got a client that she's 78 years old, 222 pounds. She's 5 feet 2 inches, and she has diabetic problems. She has some kidney issues, but what's going on now that's really concerning her is that she has skin cancer, lower abdomen, and a buttock area. And she's like, they're doing some phototherapy to treat it, but she doesn't want to do any advanced stuff other than that.
You know, that's like having one of those 1972 Ford Pintos that's got like baling wire holding up the bumpers, and the trunk is flapping up, and there's plastic instead of windows, and it's putting down the highway, and you say, wait a minute, I got a little crack in my mirror. How am I gonna fix this crack in my mirror? Forget the mirror crack. She's got serious metabolic issues. She's a Ford Pinto that's falling apart. She's 78 and she's 5'2" and 228 pounds. That's not almost impossible to be 78 and 5'2". You got to work hard to be that metabolically disturbed. So her issue is her metabolism, her chemistry. Metabolism, by the way, just means chemistry. It's a fancy way of saying chemistry, biochemistry. So what she's got to do is she's got to work on the whole metabolic system. First of all, if she's not on the healthy, is she on the Healthy Start Pack? Is she supplementing, Debbie?
She's supplementing, but on the Go Pack, she's limited in finances.
Healthy Start Pack. And when you're limited in finances, there's a couple things you could do, okay? Because she can use a lot of stuff. She should be on the Fucoid Z, the I-26, whole digestive support, sweeties. There's a bunch of stuff. Everything you're describing is metabolic syndrome. It's a textbook case of metabolic syndrome. Everything you decide. Rebecca and Doc just wrote a book on it. You guys, everybody should read that book. That book tells you, and very easy to understand. The way Doc writes is so easy to understand. And Hell's Kitchen is another book where he talks about this stuff. So she's a textbook case, metabolic syndrome. She has problems with finances. For anybody who has problems with finances, at least this stuff, at least. This is life-changing, because the great gift of the human body, not because, but one of the reasons is because the great gift of the human body is the more deficient you are, the faster your body absorbs the nutrients. A dry sponge sucks up more water than a wet sponge. The more metabolically disturbed you are, the faster you can resolve the problem. So anything this woman does correctly is going to make a difference, and this is one way to do it, and it's relatively inexpensive. So get her on this at least. Then, if money's an issue, if finances are an issue, work on eating less food and eating power foods, nutrient-dense foods, and small amounts of them. Something as simple as eating less food will not only reduce the metabolic load on the body. One of the big problems we have today is we're trying to, metaphorically speaking, drink water out of a fire hose. For eons, our biggest problem was not getting enough calories. Over the last 100 years, and at accelerated pace over the last 20, 30, 40 years, we've created a food supply that is the equivalent of a fire hose of energy. And most of us are getting our energy by putting our mouths on a fire hose. And this is frying our circuits, especially the energy circuits of the body, which are the energy systems of the body, the energy structures of the body, which are called the mitochondria, which you all have probably heard of at this point, because everybody's talking about it. Those are the little tiny structures in the cells that turn food into energy, and they're frying out because of all this energy we're putting into the system. Eat less food and eat power foods. Things like veggies and algae and seaweeds and eggs and organ meats and bone broth and all the things we really talk about when we talk about foods. These are foods that give you a lot of nutrients without a lot of calories. I call them power foods. And so focusing on power foods, so she's getting nutrients without calories, it's cheap, it's easy to do. Another thing she could be doing, and everybody, I'm using her as an example, but everybody can, hydrating. The body is designed to run its biochemistry in a certain environment of hydration. It has to have a certain amount of water. The blood is designed to do its work with a certain amount of hydration, a certain proportion. It can adjust, and the body does adjust. But over time, we pay the price of that adjustment. So hydration is cheap. It's free. And when you're doing your hydration, put your BTT in there. Put your Beyond Tangy Tangerine in there. And by the way, for that gal who was, and I know it sounds funny, but it's true. For the gal who had the friend who's drinking alcohol, put this stuff in your vodka. It's awesome. have him add it to his booze. He'll get the nutrients he needs, not only general, but to help him detoxify the booze.
Okay, Deborah, Deborah, if you need some help with some strategies for some inexpensive things, come to our team training. You're welcome to join us. We will help you to figure out how to, and you already know, Deborah, how to save these people money. And one other point that Ben made.
I was going to say one more thing, but go ahead. I'll say it after you.
No, you go ahead.
A real easy hack for people who can't stop eating or who love to eat and want to eat less, or who have money issues or don't want to spend a lot of money or can't spend a lot of money on nutrients. Flax seeds. Go get organic golden flax seeds, grind them up in a coffee grinder, and take the powder, the flax powder, put it in some water, warm or cold, stir it in there, throw in some cinnamon and some clove and some allspice or nutmeg, stir it up. It's the most delicious flax fiber beverage you'll ever drink in your it's delicious beverage, and it's filling, so you won't feel like eating, especially if you start off your meals with it. Great weight loss tool, and it gives you your omega fats, and it gives you magnesium and protein. There's just as much protein in a couple of tablespoons of flax seeds as in an egg, and it'll give you all the phytonutrients, and it'll give you vitamin E, and it'll suck up poisons. It's a great detoxifying substance.
Okay, see, Ben, you're gonna have to give us some of your recipes. We're making a recipe book. You're gonna have to add. And speaking of recipe books, what Ben mentioned earlier is to get yourself a copy of the Metabolic Syndrome. Get yourself a copy of which other book did you mention? You mentioned
Hell's Kitchen.
Hell's Kitchen.
Doc has some great. I'm gonna
Get yourself a copy of Let's Play Doctor, and you can do all of this by calling Wellness Publications at 855-755-4656. Get yourself a hold of Dr. Wallach's books. You can view it at drjwallach.com, but make sure you call and make that order at 855-755-4656. We're going to move on to Verna because we're running out of time. Verna, what can you unmute and tell us what question you have for Pharmacist Ben?
Hi, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hey, Verna.
Hey, so I have some friends, a woman and two teenage twins that are 17, 16, and they all got the flu, and she off and on takes the products. And so I asked her when, she was still, the kids seemed to get a little bit better faster than she did. And so I asked her, did she have the plant minerals? She said she did, but she complained that when she takes the plant-derived minerals and the kids, that it upsets their stomach. So I told her several different things to do. I told her to put it in her water, not a lot, but put some in her water and drink it in the water. Is there anything else you can suggest?
Hang on. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hang on. Let me understand something. You're saying she drinks it just a capful and drinks a shot of it, kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
When because I did recommend that she do that, but she said when she does that, it upsets her stomach.
Let me explain to you. Let me explain this phenomenon, because it's not uncommon. We hear this all the time. I'm sure everybody who's been doing longevity for a while has heard it more than once, that people get upset stomach. It's not really the stomach that's upset, though. It's we don't distinguish between our stomach and our intestine. What happens is one of the beautiful things about these minerals is they're water soluble. If you ever had some flour or some kind of powder in your kitchen and it got wet, it ruins it, right? Why does it ruin it? Because water activates things. When you mix substances with water, they become active. And this is very important in terms of minerals. This is one of Doc's brilliant insights. Minerals that do not interact with water do not have anywhere near the potency of minerals that do interact with water. The interaction with water activates the minerals the way it activates your flour or your foods in your kitchen when they get rotten or they break down in the presence of water. But there's a problem because rocks don't interact with water, right? You can go to your garden, you pull out some rocks and drop in water. What's going to happen? They're not going to interact with the water. They're going to sink, right?
Okay.
But bacteria that live in the soil and plants have an ability to turn those rocks into something that does interact with water. That's why plant-derived minerals are not only so important, but also why they're not toxic. The body can use them. Sometimes people say, oh, there's aluminum in there, and there's mercury in there, and there's, they say these things that they're used to hearing as being toxic, these minerals that they're used to being toxic, they don't realize ours dissolve in water. That completely changes their toxicity profile. They go from toxic to non-toxic. However, this interaction with water can also pull water through your digestive system. The way the digestive system is supposed to work is the water is supposed to get sucked out in the large intestine. That's how you form a stool. But if minerals are passing through and they're not getting absorbed quickly enough, they're going to pull the water through, and you're going to end up with water in your lower digestive tract, and that's going to cause bloating and discomfort and ultimately diarrhea. And this is what this lady's talking about, I'm sure. This is what everybody talks about. The solution is to do exactly like you said, slower release to give the body a chance to absorb the nutrients. It also helps to do them with food, because there are components in foods that will slow down the process, the process of the minerals moving through the digestive tract. That's the idea. Is you want to slow down the movement of minerals through the digestive tract. If it goes too fast, it's going to suck in water, and you're going to get crampy, bloaty, and explosive diarrhea, and you're going to hate longevity and the BTT. Do you understand the mechanism? Do you understand how that works?
Yes, I do.
That's why I always tell people to sip on the Beyond Tank Tangerine. In any case, that gives you, in essence, an IV drip of nutrition, which is really how you want it. You don't want it all at once. You want your nutrients sustained throughout the day, like in an IV, like with an IV bag. And that's, by the way, that's the concept of the Rise and Restore. Steve actually turned that whole concept of an IV drip into a product. And by dividing the morning and the night, you kind of get a duplication of that IV drip-like effect. I personally like to drink my Beyond Tangy Tangerine in a bottle throughout the day. I do 2 or 3 bottles throughout the day, sometimes 4 even.
Okay.
Thank you, Verna.
All right. Thank you.
All right. All right. And before we go to Cynthia and our next question, yes, this is the gift and the curse of the cherry mints, because they taste so good.
You do them all once.
You want to drink more. And then if you drink more.
Yeah, do it with food. If that's the case and you really want to do that, then do them with food. That also has a slowing down effect, so the minerals don't pass through your system as quickly.
Thank you.
And also, if that is happening too much, there's a malabsorption thing going on also. That could be intestinal damage. Minerals are absorbed through the intestinal wall. We talk about the toxicity of leaky gut, and we talk of the toxicity that's associated with intestinal problems, but we don't sometimes address well enough is malabsorption. So if you're dealing with any kind of digestive health issues, not only are you not going to be at risk for toxic blood or dirty blood, but you're also going to be at risk for malabsorption, because when that intestinal lining is broken down, you don't absorb your B vitamins and your minerals and your other nutrients as well, aside from the fats, which is a whole nother story. Just your electrolytes and your B's and your C's and your plant-derived minerals are not going to get absorbed as well when there's intestinal damage. So that might be a sign that there's some intestinal issues.
Okay, so just for clarification, if I drank 3 ounces of plant-derived minerals, that should all be absorbed and that shouldn't be an issue?
Theoretically, depending on how, theoretically they should be. I don't know. Wow. Theoretically, I mean, if there's damage, you might have a problem. I don't know exactly what the ounces are, so I can't tell you if it's 3 or 2, but there's going to be a limit to what your body can absorb.
Okay. Cynthia, what's your question?
Thank you so much, AJ. Pharmacist Ben, I have a client who is a diabetic and loves the Rebound, but because it's notated that it's 8 grams of sugar. So what he does, he dilutes it in a 32 ounce of water with the what's our other pollen burst. Is that a good way to drink it?
Water, absolutely. What does water do? It dilutes the blood. When we talk about blood sugar, we're talking about blood sugar concentration. So when people say I have high blood sugar, what they really mean is I have high blood sugar concentration. That means there's a lot of sugar in the bloodstream, in the liquid, right? What happens when you dilute the blood? The concentration drops. How do you dilute the blood? Hydration. Most of us are, unless we're really aware of what's going on, are going to be dehydrated because the foods we eat dehydrate us, the beverages we drink dehydrate us, and we don't drink enough water. And we ingest lots and lots of dehydrated food. So most people are going through their lives way dehydrated. Try this. Everybody listening, try this. Tomorrow morning, drink a quart of water. Put some BTT in there and drink a quart of it. And then a couple hours later, do it again. And a couple of hours later, don't put too much BTT in there. You want to have just enough because you don't want to run into any issues with the BTT. So just a teaspoon of BTT and 32 ounces of water. Do it again, maybe 2 or 3 hours later, and do it again a few hours later, and do it 4 times. So you have a gallon of water. Watch how much better you feel. Watch how much better you feel. Not only will you have more, you'll be diluting your blood sugar, but you'll also be getting more blood flow to your brain because now the blood will be moving with greater facility. And on top of all that, you'll be detoxing. Make sure you put BTT in there, though, because you're going to be urinating. And when you urinate your water-soluble nutrients. So you want to replace them, and that's why the BTT is so important. For all these people drinking a lot of water, these days people are drinking water bottles and carrying water bottles. You got to know that you're urinating out your water-soluble nutrients, and this is the best way to protect yourself against that.
All right. All righty. Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you, AJ. Thank you, Pharmacist Ben.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So now we're going to go to Ruth Ellen, and Ruth Ellen's going to rapid fire because we're over time already. But we're going to keep you, Pharmacist Ben, because we need you. We need you around.
I'm happy to help out.
We're going to keep you as long as you can tolerate being with us. All right. So.
All right. Yes. Now, do you have a hard stop? I want to be respectful of your time.
Let's say 7 more minutes, 2:10.
Okay. All right. So I have a question that came in. What to take for 3 years of light sensitivity, especially around blue light from devices, plus LED and fluorescent lights?
Light sensitivity for the eyes or light
Yes.
sensitivity in general? Ultimate
Both.
EFAs. Ultimate EFAs are your best way to protect your eyes and your skin from electromagnetic radiation, which of course includes light.
Okay. Thank you.
And also, everything's the healthy start pack. There's other nutrients as well. We talked yesterday, I think me and you, AJ, about vitamin E. Vitamin E goes along with that. The fatty nutrients, omegas and vitamin E especially, and carotenes and the Vision FX, by the way, that's probably a good one to try. And the Occutive would also be good to try. Vision FX and Occutive, let me say this real quick, will protect the skin as well as they protect the eyes. So for people who are worried about EMF, people who are exposed to the sun, people who burn easily, or who are fair, Vision FX and Occutive will protect your skin like they protect your eyes. Does that make sense, you guys?
Yes.
So that would be good for that gal. And then the ultimate EFAs as well. Omega fats also protect the skin and the eyes, not just from the light, but from EMFs. These days we've got so much electricity. 150 years ago, there was no electricity.
Yeah.
Think about it. Last 150 years, we're swimming in an ocean of EMF, of electromagnetic radiation, electromagnetic frequencies everywhere, from doors that open automatically to checkout stands to Wi-Fi, obviously, and 3G and 4G and 5G and 6G. So the ultimate EFAs and Vision FX and Occutive are protective against EMF and light sensitivity.
Thank you. Yeah, I know. I have 2 monitors, a laptop,
All that,
microphone, a phone,
exactly,
and my tower.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
I know.
And the light.
And the light. Exactly.
Right.
It's everywhere.
Okay. So earlier, you had talked about something. So Nancy Cook wanted to know, so having cheese shredded on everything from eggs to broccoli, beans and rice can she keep doing that, or is that something she shouldn't keep doing? Cheese, shredded cheese.
Depends on the cheese. Cheese is not necessarily a bad food. Some people can't handle it. Some people can't do dairy. Cheese can be clogging. It's unfortunate. And nutrition is kind of funny because there are some nutrients like cheese and eggs that are extremely dense. We talk about nutrient density. that have
Yes.
wonderful nutritional value, but there are also reactions that people can have. So she's good with cheese. Cheese is an amazing food if she's good with it. And
Okay.
not, she'll know, she'll be clogged up. Cheese can be very constipating.
Okay. So no, it's cheddar, she said.
If it's good cheddar, there's cheddar from Kraft and there's real cheddar, and you got to be careful with kind of foods you buy.
Right.
So, you know, if it's the orange stuff, cheddar's not supposed to be orange. So if it's the orange stuff, or, you know, you got to be a little bit careful, but generally speaking, cheese is a good food if you can handle it.
Okay. And I see she raised her hand. So if it's okay with you, I'll bring her on.
Sure.
Okay. And we want to respect
I
your
see my
time.
friend
And there's
Elaine
some-
is here. Hi, Elaine. Elaine Hedden from Alaska. She's a wonderful healthcare professional. Hello, Elaine.
Awesome. Oh, all right. There we go. Nancy, if you can unmute. And then somebody
This
wanted
has
to
been
know.
real informative because I'm one of those, the longevity products are driving me nuts because I could barely leave the house with diarrhea and going to the bathroom.
That's not good.
And I was eating the cheese too. So the cheese but
You may not be able to.
I'm
Go
a
ahead.
little concerned that I should be taking these nutrients throughout the day. So like I take a lot of them in the morning and at night. And the ones that say take 3 times a day, I take 1 in the morning and 1 at night because I get too
you
busy
take one
during the
what?
day.
Nancy, can you speak up a little louder? I'm having a hard time hearing you.
How about now? Is this better?
No, you're still faded. So you're taking 1 a day of what? Did you?
So she said that the products that we recommend that she takes 3 times a day, she takes it morning and at night because otherwise she's running to the bathroom all day.
Well, I'd want to know what the products were. That make a big difference. But did you understand what we were just saying about how minerals will go down, and if you're not absorbing correctly, minerals will go down into the intestine and pull water through? Did that make sense to you?
Yeah.
It sounds to me like you're dealing with malabsorption, is what it sounds like. Now, I don't know you, so I don't know. Do you have any? How's your gallbladder? Do you have a history of intestinal problems? Are you on any medication? I have to ask you a whole bunch of stuff to give you a really good answer. But based on what you're telling me now, I would say there's malabsorption going on, which could be due to either something wrong with the digestive system that you need to fix, or you're doing too much all at once. Could be a combination of those two. And I have to ask you a lot more questions to give you a really good answer. But I would be doing smaller doses to start, and I would be doing them with food to start. Both of those will slow down the movement of these substances through your digestive tract, so give your body a chance to absorb them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so that would, but I still want to ask you some questions about your gallbladder and your liver. And from the sound of your voice, you're probably in your 60s, I'm guessing, something like that. So it's very unusual. How long?
71.
Yeah,
71.
Okay, so it's very unusual for somebody to be 71 years old living in the United States of America in the year 2024 and not have some degree of digestive distress.
Okay, we're going to try. Sorry, Ben, and we're going to try in 30 seconds to get Carrie B. Carrie, what's your question for Pharmacist Ben? Didn't mean to cut you off, but I know you got a hard stop.
Hi, I have a client. I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but he's on the bone and joint pack, but he has a cardiologist that is just trying to get him on some serious drugs like Eliquis and some others, and he's trying to fight that. Plus, he's having some bladder issues and forgetting things. So I got your information on some other issues that he's having, but those are the main ones that are standing out.
I want to, I have to ask him a lot more questions. Eliquis is a blood thinner. If the doctor wants him on a blood thinner, that's pretty serious. Blood thinners are
he's had a pacemaker. That's his big thing, is that he
has a lot of, there's tons of stuff there. So I'm not sure what the question is, but remember I said earlier, the more deficient we are, the faster our body absorbs nutrients. The more broken down we are, the faster we can begin to turn things around. Just from the brief couple of seconds that you just talked about this guy, it sounds to me like he's severely broken down. You say he's 71 years old? Did you say 71?
He's in his 70s.
All right. So like I was saying to whoever I was just talking to, Verna or Nancy, whoever I was just talking to, it's very unusual, almost impossible to be in your 70s in the year 2024 in the US of A and not have some breakdowns at the level of the digestive system and the blood sugar system, the triangle, the base of the triangle. That's where he needs to work. Now, I can help him if he wants to call. And by the way, you guys, I am available to help you build your business. So if you have people you want me to talk to, I will do that on the phone, and I do it all the time. And I especially love talking to healthcare professionals, and extra especially doctors. Because doctors cannot deny what you're hearing me talk about here today and every day and Doc talk about cannot be denied. That's why I'm very careful to give you the mechanism of everything before when you ask questions. I always tell you how this thing happens. The mechanism of dirty blood, of the triangle, of malabsorption, of metabolic syndrome and blood sugar issues and all the things we talk about here cannot be denied. And so when physicians hear this, it's very powerful information because they're not told this in medical school. They don't learn this kind of stuff. So if you have physicians that you want me to talk to, I'm happy to do that. And they're your best distributors. If you can find a physician, you can build a whole business if you can find 2 or 3 physicians.
All right, Carrie, thank you for your question. Pharmacist Ben, you are the man standing next to the man. We got Dr. Wallach in the room still.
Doc's the man. I'm just doing his work here. Doc is the man.
Doc very much is the man. I think he's gone, however, and okay. I just want to thank you for all of the time that you give us and the weekends that you do and talking to our clients and everything that you do. You're an amazing guy, and
thank you.
We really thank you.
God bless everybody. We'll see you next Friday, and AJ, maybe we'll do one this week. Another bites this week.
We're hoping because we need to finish on the fats. We need to finish.
Okay. All right.
On the
Fair
fat.
enough.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Pharmacist Ben. And just want to thank our magnificent crew here. We have Ruth Ellen Sanchez, the executive producer of the show. We have Marilyn Pizzera Fingerspear, who is out here giving us all the information we need that Ben has mentioned or Doc would have mentioned. And we have Phyllis Anderson, the reason that most of us even know about Dr. Wallach, because Phyllis and her husband helped Doc get on the radio in the first place. So it's a real honor to be able to share the screen with Phyllis on a weekly basis. And our man, Albert, down in South Africa, helping folks. He's out there with his zebras and lemurs and what other animals you got out there in your backyard there, buddy? I know. And Albert is the man. And we want to thank each and every one of you on Twitter and Rumble and YouTube family, Olga, everybody else, and Mary and Bruce and Cap and everybody else who's on YouTube and the Twitter. And thank you very much for another good episode of Daily with Doc. And we will see you on Monday. And Ruth Ellen, who's our guest on Monday?
Frankie Pulley is going to be on talking about biomedics.
You know what? Listen, biomedics folks are an absolutely amazingly absorbable form of nutrition. You folks need to tune in and get the lowdown on the biomedics, and we will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.